Right, yes, Evan, so we're going to have a look at creating this tonal scale. So what you've got here is you've got lots of help and advice. So you've got all of the different tones that we're looking to see within this tonal scale in this box in the middle. But this is what we're actually aiming for down here. And this is called graduated tone. So basically it's tone that goes very gradually from dark through to light, without these lines of the stops and starts between each section that you see here. So I want you to use this as a guide for what each tone in your box should look like, but then you've got the example as well of what it should look like once it's been graduated. Okay, so the way we're going to start, the way we should always shade is we should always shade, apologies for the bobbling around of my camera, we should always shade in one direction. Okay, so what that means is that we're going to start at the darkest edge here, and then we're going to go pushing really hard for this first section, and then as we come across towards the next one, we're going to release some of that pressure so we're not pushing down as hard. And you'll notice I'm not being too fussy about my edges at the minute. I'm just trying to gradually release pressure as we come across each section, trying to match the tones that I see above. And the reason we always say to shade in one direction is because if you didn't, you would end up with a very messy piece of work. Now I know that doesn't look very neat at the minute anyway, but what I'm talking about is the reason I'm saying in one direction, because if you do something that's a little bit like that, for example, no matter how many times you then go over that tone, you're always going to have these scribbly lines showing through. Okay, so if we go in one direction, just like the band, all the way across, then that's going to help you get this graduated tone for starters. But secondly, it's going to mean that your toning is nice and neat, and we can then go back in on top and deal with any little white areas that we've left. Okay, so the way we are going to cover those gaps is we're going to change the grip on our pencil. So I've just shaded across like that, holding my pencil like you would a normal writing pen, and what that does is that makes a thin mark. Okay, but if we change the grip on our pencil, so we're actually holding it from above and we're getting our pencil sort of flat down to the page like this, what that does is that gives us a bigger surface area with which to shade in. So rather than making a little thin mark like that, we're making a much thicker mark like that. Okay, and that's going to help us get rid of these white gaps, and it's also going to help us smooth out our tone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go across in a different direction, and again we're going to go in that same direction all the way along our tonal scale, and again I'm pushing down really hard at the darkest area and releasing the pressure as we come across, and you'll see our tone starts to blend in a little bit better, covers up any of those white gaps and makes our tone look very smooth and very neat and very blended. So again I'm pressing even lighter now, coming across to this side, barely pushing at all. Now with that down at this end over here. Okay, and then again I'm going to go and try and build up my tone a little bit more, so pushing really hard down this side. Again, now I've gone over in another different direction, making sure that I've covered all those gaps and that all my toning is going to blend, and it is going to be nice and neat and smooth. Okay, so I'm going to go in one last diagonal direction across this way. Again, I've got my pencil flat to the page as I can get it. Smoothing out those areas where I can see a bit too much of a line of difference. And right the way across to that end. Okay, and then once you've done that and you're happy that you've got no white gaps and your tone is nice and smooth, you don't think you've got any areas where you've got a big line one between the other, then that is how to shade a tonal scale.